August the 8th, 1588, the English Channel churns with anticipation as 130 Spanish warships stretch across the horizon like floating castles. The Spanish Armada, the most formidable naval force ever assembled, bristles with 30,000 men and enough firepower to conquer nations. King Philip's grand strategy is finally in motion. Crush the English fleet, invade Britain, and restore Catholic dominance across Europe. But let's change one thing. Slicing through the morning mist at impossible speed sits something that shouldn't exist for another 430 years. The USS Gerald R. Ford, a 100,000-ton nuclear supercarrier from 2018, armed with aircraft that could obliterate armies and technology that borders on sorcery. So what happens when the most advanced floating airfield on Earth faces off against the pride of the Spanish Empire at their absolute peak? This isn't your grandfather's aircraft carrier. The USS Gerald R. Ford looks like it was designed by engineers who hate the concept of fair fights. At 106 feet long, this nuclear-powered behemoth displaces more water than entire Spanish fleets combined. Here's what this floating fortress is packing. Aircraft, including F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters that can turn invisible to radar while carrying enough precision munitions to level entire cities. We're talking about jets that cruise at 1,200 miles per hour, while their pilots sip coffee and track targets through walls using sensors that see in dimensions the 16th century can't even comprehend. Each F-35 carries M120 AMRAAM missiles with a range of 100-plus miles. These aren't crude cannonballs fired from bronze tubes. They're fire-and-forget guided weapons that think faster than human neurons and never miss their intended targets. The carrier also hosts E-2D Hawkeye radar planes that can spot a seagull from 300 miles away while coordinating attacks across multiple time zones. Powered by 2 nuclear reactors generating enough energy to light up Manhattan, this ship can cruise at 30-plus knots for 20 years without refueling while making less noise than a whisper. In 1588, it's essentially a floating piece of the future operated by wizards who speak in radio frequencies. But even this technological marvel faces interesting challenges because the Spanish Armada isn't just some ragtag collection of fishing boats. Admiral Medina Sidonia commands the crown jewel of European naval power. 130 ships, including massive galleons like the San Martin, floating fortresses armed with bronze cannons and crewed by battle-hardened veterans. These aren't merchant vessels pressed into service. They're purpose-built warships designed to dominate through sheer firepower and tactical brilliance. The Spanish strategy relies on closing distance, grappling enemy ships, and boarding them with sword-wielding marines. Their cannons can punch holes in oak hulls from half a mile away, and their crews have perfected naval warfare through decades of Mediterranean combat. Supporting this armada are 20,000 soldiers, 8,000 sailors, and enough supplies to sustain a small country. But here's the thing about 1588 naval warfare. Success depends on wind direction, visual spotting, and getting close enough to see the whites of enemy eyes. The Gerald R. Ford can eliminate threats from distances so vast that Spanish lookouts would need telescopes that won't be invented for another century. At dawn on August 8th, Spanish scouts report strange sightings on the horizon. A massive ship unlike anything in their experience, moving against the wind at impossible speeds. Admiral Medina Sidonia studies the reports with growing confusion. His navigators insist no vessel of such size could achieve such velocity. Yet there it sits, defying every principle of maritime physics known to man. Meanwhile, 50 miles away, the Gerald R. Ford's radar systems light up the Spanish fleet like Christmas decorations. The ship's Combat Information Center processes threat assessments in milliseconds, while F-35 pilots receive target packages through data links that update faster than human perception. To the carrier's crew, tracking 130 16th-century warships feels like monitoring a parade of wooden toys floating in a bathtub. The Spanish Armada advances in their traditional crescent formation, a tactical masterpiece designed to envelop and destroy enemy fleets through coordinated cannon fire. Each ship knows its position, each captain understands his role, and every man aboard believes they're participating in God's holy mission to restore Catholic Europe. They have no idea they're about to witness the most lopsided naval engagement in human history. Admiral Medina Sidonia orders his flagship San Martin to signal the fleet. Battle formation, prepare for engagement. Massive galleons lumber into position, their bronze cannons gleaming in the morning sun. Experienced gunners load chain shot and solid iron balls, while Marines check their swords and boarding pikes. This is what they've trained for, what the Spanish Empire has spent a fortune preparing. But 40 miles away, something extraordinary is already happening. The Gerald R. Ford launches its first sortie. 4 F-35C Lightning II fighters catapult off the deck in sequence, each aircraft accelerating from 0 to 165 miles per hour in under 3 seconds. The electromagnetic launch system would seem like pure magic to Spanish eyes, hurling 70,000-pound war machines into the sky without visible means of propulsion. No wind required, no prayers to patron saints, just American engineering at its absolute finest. Within minutes, the stealth fighters are cruising at 35,000 feet, completely invisible to 16th century observation. Their pilots watch the Spanish formation through high-definition displays while munching energy bars that contain more nutrition than most Spanish sailors see in a week. To these aviators, the Armada looks like a museum exhibit brought to life. Fascinating, but utterly defenseless. The lead pilot receives clearance to engage. His first AIM-120 AMRAAM missile streaks earthward at Mach 4, guided by radar systems that can distinguish between identical twins from 50 miles away. The Spanish flagship, San Martin, simply disintegrates. One moment, Admiral Medina Sidonia is studying charts and issuing orders. The next, 1,000 tons of Spanish oak and bronze cannon becomes floating debris scattered across a quarter-mile of ocean. The explosion defies every law of physics known to 1588. No cannon produces such devastation. No Greek fire burns so completely. No earthly weapon could vaporize an entire warship in seconds. Spanish captains watch their flagship vanish and assume divine intervention. Some fall to their knees in prayer. Others order immediate retreat. A few brave souls maintain formation, convinced they're witnessing sorcery that can somehow be defeated through superior seamanship. More missiles rain down from the empty sky. The galleon San Lorenzo, pride of the Neapolitan squadron, erupts in flames. The Portuguese vessel, San Felipe, splits in half like kindling. Each strike is surgical, precise, and absolutely devastating. Spanish gunners fire their cannons at nothing, shooting iron balls into vacant air while death arrives from directions they cannot comprehend. But here's where things get interesting. The Gerald R. Ford carries 75 aircraft, impressive but finite. Each F-35 holds only 8 missiles maximum, and precision-guided munitions weren't designed for engaging 130 individual wooden targets. The Spanish Armada's greatest strength isn't firepower or technology. It's sheer numbers and the fact that 16th century warships require different tactics than modern threats. When the smoke clears and the last F-35 returns to deck, the Gerald R. Ford stands victorious in waters littered with Spanish timber. 400 years of military evolution compressed into a single morning, turning history's most feared armada into maritime archaeology. The carrier would be remembered as the ghost of the Channel, a phantom that rewrote naval warfare centuries before it was supposed to exist.